Good morning, everyone, and welcome to let's say breakfast at Gulfstream Park. Good morning, 11:08 in the a.m. Main track is fast. Turf course is firm this afternoon. Just a beautiful day in South Florida. In case you happen to notice that it's a little warmer around the country, so we don't feel as bad telling them about our 80-degree temperature.
Yeah, it seems like things are heating up a little bit around the country. Hope that you are getting some nice weather this weekend, too, but we're happy to have some nice weather for our 12-race card today.
Exactly, and we'll take care of some business. We had Beat the Expert yesterday, and boy, we had a lot of long shots. So I don't know who picked five, but boy, that is some handicapper that we want. You know, A.J. Henry, Mike Rodriguez, and Andres Salazar beat the Expert yesterday. Keisha, I was off yesterday. I would have had the same three winners as you. So,
yeah, I got completely crushed.
Yeah, I would have gotten crushed too. So I'll do it next week. Just a couple of more weeks left of doing this for the championship meet. So make sure you play along next week. As I mentioned, fast main track, firm turf course today. Pick five pool, 40,000. We're just starting the wagering here. Got a couple of pick fives. Got the ever popular middle pick four today in race number 5. So lots of action for you. Let's take a look at Acacia's early pick 5 ticket.
Yeah, hoping to start it off in a good way. Let's add the bankroll for that Rainbow 6 coming up a little bit later, and that ever popular middle pick 4, which does start in race number 5. I've got 3 deep here in the opener. Currently, the number 6 Bohemian Rhapsody is the early favorite. 2 deep in the second race with Shake 'em and Infatuating. I found that a very tricky race, in fact. 3 deep in the third. That's actually a pretty interesting maiden 40. In race number 4, I've got Constituency and Converter, and the 5th race will close it out with my best bet of the day, which is the 7 Resident. Thought about singling that one, but I did back myself up with the 1 Weiser.
So yeah, I used both of those on my early pick 5 ticket. Starting it off here in race number 1, as you mentioned, current 2-1 favorite is the number 6 Bohemian Rhapsody, who looks solid in the opener, I thought, today, after responding to both the drop down and the addition of Lasix with a second place finish at this level and distance. Miguel Vasquez will be in the saddle. By the way, it's 5 furlongs on the turf, maiden claiming fillies 3-year-olds, and we did have some scratches of the 1 and the 8 and the 15. Please note that 13 and 14 are going to get in run today, so when you're doing your handicapping, 14 is taking some money. Couple of jock changes on the 9. Make the rider Louis Sires, and the 11, it's Victor LeBron. So a lot of times people don't realize that those horses get in. So we figured we'd let you know. With that said, it looks like Bohemian Rhapsody is the one to beat.
Yeah, I think so. And the jockeys that were named to ride on the also eligibles will stay with those AE horses. So that's what the reason for the jockey change there in the first. And because of that, I included the 14 Union Park Gal on my top 4 picks, because that one does get in, and I think of the 2 AEs getting in might have a chance to grab a share in here, but did kind of default into Bohemian Rhapsody. Just the best last out race. There is, I think, some questions in this spot of a lot of these runners. The 10 La Dame is dropping in class. She took a lot of money last time getting the blinkers on. It was off the turf. I think she'll appreciate getting back to the grass and does have speed.
Yeah, didn't run very well on that fast track. It's Safi Joseph Jr., Embassy Al Jaramillo, and Miss Lamar. We have the same try up there. Is the daughter of productive sire Kozan, debuting for Carlos David, Lasix, Junior Alvarado. A couple of good connections right there. Race number 2, 1 mile on the main track. It's a fast main track. These are claimers, fillies, 3-year-olds. 12.5 is the claiming price. Did have a scratch of the morning line favorite in here. Maureen Loves Frank was not my top pick to begin with, but I wanted to let everybody know when the favorite comes out, you should let them know.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it leaves this race even more wide open. My biggest thing was that I just didn't really trust kind of anybody in this spot. I did land on the 5 Shake 'em, as she is stretching back out in distance. Broke her maiden going a mile on the dirt, 2 back. Tried sprinting last time and had a little bit of trouble, but I just think that A, maybe she's better going longer, and B, better showing speed. And so on the stretching out from sprint distances, I imagine she's going to be on the engine again, especially with the scratch of the favorite who could have been part of the pace. Probably the 1 Kirby to the inside will be the main speed, but hoping that she's going to be a little bit more forwardly placed, as I think going back to the mile should be the right move. move.
Yeah, and she defeated that next out winner, Baby Lion. Not a lot of horses have come out and run well at a race, but something that I did go in infatuating. We moved to the David Folks Bond after the claimant steps up, stretches out to the mile after posting back-to-back sprint victories, going 6 furlongs. I also thought this horse with the stretch out in good form would be a major player in there. Miguel Vasquez in the saddle. And I just touched on the Greenwood Drive, who's stretching out to the mile, rallied to finish second. She finds an ideal spot, I think, to find more distance, as you were saying. This is a wide-open affair.
Yeah, I think you could really go a number of different ways in here. I had a tough time with this race.
Third race this afternoon, 1 mile on the turf, maiden claiming fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. So we mentioned this a couple of times for you handicappers out there. 3-year-olds can finally run against older horses because they think they're old enough to do it right now. $40,000. And as you mentioned, a pretty nice race, this third race.
It is, and there's only one 3-year-old running against the olders, and that is the number 4 Talk Radio, who's making the first start of 2021, and she makes sense on the drop, as does the 5 Oceanair. Now, they have very similar kind of appearances in that neither of them have lit the world on fire in special weight company, but they are going out for 2 good barns, and they are both dropping in class. I veered slightly more towards Oceanair because I just watched back both of the races from Talk Radio, and she just didn't run a step. At least Oceanair showed a little bit of something. She's now third off the layoff. My only concern with Oceanair is that she's by English Channel, and I wonder if she wants a little bit more than a mile, but she has run better numbers and shown a little bit more in those maiden special weight races.
Well, she showed some that, she tracked the pace and finished 5th. That was actually going 9 furlongs last time out. So Christophe Clement, who you're alluding, Tyler Gaffalione in the saddle again. Talk Radio, for all the reasons you just mentioned, dropping to this level, getting Lasix. First start since failing to fire. Maybe there was a bleeding issue there. That's guesswork on our part. Red Hot trainer Bill Mott. He's got his go-to jock, Junior Alvarado. As you mentioned, the 3-year-old against 4-year-olds. And on a hop in third for me, another dropping to this level, turning back, was 6.5 length behind Oceanair. You like that one? Maybe use that one.
Yeah, for sure. That one I thought would have to improve quite a bit. But this second off the layoff as well, I used the 2 So Elusive, who was exposed at a comparable level last time out, but actually broke pretty sharply and then took back. There's not a ton of early speed signed on in this race, or clear speed, I should say. Maybe will come from the 6 Starry Hope. In fact, I think it will. But I wouldn't be surprised to see So Elusive a little bit more aggressively handled under Luis Saez.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about Starry Hope. That is the speed of the speed. Now, I had to do it one a little further down. The ticket was really struggling, maybe making that one a little further up just because it had that little bit of pace advantage in there. Race number 4 this afternoon is a 6.5 furlong sprint. These are maiden claiming 3-year-olds. 20 down to $16,000. You had this is not where you had your single in. No. I went with the 7 in here, Converter, who's dropping to the 20 level after showing speed and finishing second in back-to-back sprints against those 35-25 state-bred runners. For Jenna Antonucci, Tyler Gaffalione up.
And I consider it a lateral move versus the state-bred 35 last time to the 20 today. And she does have the speed. That's definitely, that's definitely the biggest benefit for this colt. And he may just try to wire the field. That's why I used him in second. But I was just a little bit nervous about picking him on top because he hasn't been able to get the job done in that state-bred 35 company and seems to just be kind of one of those horses that runs the same race every time. Now, the 6th constituency, I don't trust this one at all, but I thought that he could just kind of be an interesting new face. Looking at the first family, there's just not much special in there. So I did a little bit of digging, went back to the sales page when he sold at the Fasig-Tipton yearling sale in Saratoga. And he's from the family of Rushing Fall on the bottom side, back a couple of generations. Obviously, distance doesn't seem to be the key, and they've never tried him on turf. But it seems it was a private buy, now owned by Lee Farms, originally owned by China Horse Club and Windstar. I think going back to the basics with the sprinting in here, and Jeff Engler has done a pretty good job in kind of taking some of these horses and putting them in the right spot.
I put him a little further down on the ticket, mostly because I have trouble staying constituency, so I got it out there. As I mentioned, I went with Converted. What about the 5 we both used somewhere on the ticket, Pacific Legends? Turned back to the 6.5 today in the dirt after breaking from a tough post last time out. Post 12, went up dual for the lead, faded against those 25 maidens, going a mile into 16. Jorge Abreu was the trainer, Victor LeBron handling a combination today of a drop down and that surface switch. Maybe those two things, those karma changes will help the 5 Pacific Legend.
And he is the half brother to Grade 2 winner Pacific Gale, who's more of kind of a 7-furlong dirt horse. So I was always a little confused as to why they were so adamant about getting him on the turf, because he doesn't look anything like a turf horse and doesn't really have the breeding for it. But he's going back to a dirt sprint today. Unfortunately, his 2 dirt races were just as bad as the turf try. So maybe it's the drop more than anything.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be the drop today. We're going to flip the page and go to race number 5, another 6.5 furlong sprint. Claimers for and up, $6,250. This is where the ever-popular middle pick 4 starts. We have a scratch of the 5, Flawless Moon. This is where your single was, and that was a resident, a sharp winner at this level, going 7, 2 races back.
Yeah, and I didn't end up singling this horse. I included the 1, but it is my best bet today. I toyed with singling this one because we'll show a trainer stat for trainer Peter Walder over the past 5 years. This is a 50% drop in class on the dirt. Just has sensational numbers with a pretty, I think, reasonable sample size of 33 runners. 30% win 52% of the time in the money, and a big ROI of 369. The barn has been in a good groove lately, and this horse tried tougher state bred allowance company last time out. Back to basics, back to the 6250 where he won 2 starts back.
Yeah, always a great angle with Peter Walder. I did go with the one who we also used on your ticket, excuse me for that, Wacer, who's going to go from the rail today after breaking mid-pack, dueling for the lead, finishing second at this level in distance for Gilberto Zerpa, MCL Jaramillo returning just the inside speed. They just thought maybe he would steal it on there. And, you know, if you're just joining us on the show or you haven't paid attention to us yet, I'm going to tell you one thing. You don't see us mention Arad Ortiz Jr. at all today because he's on a 5-day vacation, we'll call it that. That's
right. Yes, serving a suspension for the 5 days here today, starting today. But do note he will be on track today as the bobbleheads of Irad Ortiz are available.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little later on. But I just wanted to let you know that everybody's saying, how come you're not picking Irad today? Well, he's not in the races, or we would be, believe me.
Yeah.
6th race this afternoon, 1 mile allowance optional claimer fillies, 3-year-olds up, or the optional tag of 75,000. Had a scratch in here of the number 3, Gone to Cabo. And a couple of races that were really impressive here. We both started it off with the 1, Army Wife, who's debuting locally for Mike Maker after ending her campaign at Churchill with that 2nd place finish behind that next out stakes winner, Olivo of the Desert, going a mile on the main track. She gets Lasix. And more importantly, it's Mike Maker.
Yes, it is. The biggest thing that I liked about this horse was that the company kept, as you mentioned, behind a next out stakes winner, got a 78 buyer speed figure next time out for that horse. And I like that she already has run the mile on the main track and showed that she could handle the distance. Off of a bit of a layoff since November, but seems to be training very sharply up at Palm Meadows. I think a lot of eyes will be on the 6 Lenlow Lady, another one who already showed she could win at the distance, and a little bit of, as you like to say, a window dressing replay. But her maiden score was just so impressive as we backtrack to February 4th. She won by 10.5 lengths, and I just picked it up from the 8th pole home because she just really did it so easily. And she had been really bet down to 8-5. Took a lot of money there on the first time dropping in class to maiden 50. Did it nicely, and we could go right into the stat for Dale Romans to back this up. And I found this stat after I had already done my picks and then was a little bit upset I hadn't chosen her on top. Dale Romans, with maiden winners last time out in dirt route races, has great numbers, 21% win and nearly half in the money, and still a positive ROI of 256.
Yeah, I'm going to switch my picks. I think you have to say that. I also used the 5 Sweet Pearl, who became the only multiple winner in the field. If you follow my analysis, you know this is one of my favorite angles. She defeated just 5 rivals in a 50-starter optional claimer, moved from turf to a mile on the dirt for Bobby DeBona, Lionel Reyes going for 2 in a row. I always found I had some success with horses that have done something that no one else in the race has done.
No, absolutely. And I use the 2 State Crown. It goes back to the dirt. They're trying to find the right spot for this horse. Curious if a mile on the main will be it.
Well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have my Rainbow 6 ticket this afternoon. As we come back for race number 7, Ron and Acacia, always having a good time here on the morning show. As I mentioned, we got a really nice jackpot guarantee in the Rainbow Six today of $450,000, and it starts in race number 7 and does go to race number 12. So there is my there you see the guarantee of 450. Here is my ticket, 3 deep. Bears watching, grand runner Ramadan in the opening leg. 4 and 5 for me. Yamato in race number 8 is my best bet. That's the 4 horse in there, but I also used the 5 Bourbon in May, who's got a big shot in there. I think if you go to race number 9, I like the 6 today for a little bit of a price, for John Kimmel in there, and you see the rest of the progression. Got a couple of really nice races in it. In the last, I think, Digital Footprint, Juan Pablo, and Danzing Dunhill might be the logical ones in that race. So 43.20 for me.
I like it. And to pay tribute to you yesterday, my Rainbow Six ticket was 43.20, the Nicoletti magic number. We know all is right in the world.
Exactly. So, you get a fair amount of coverage without having to go too deep in your pockets. When it's over $1 million, I step it up a little bit. Doesn't seem to help me, so I stick with the 43.20. How did you see this race?
Well, I like this race a lot. I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, we do get to see Bears watching again. A half-brother to multiple Grade 1 winner, Code of Honor. We'll backtrack to his debut race, as this was on that sealed sloppy track, and you and I remember it was just absolutely pouring that day. So this was, I think, despite the weather, I still think it was a really good effort from this horse, and it was, I think, a really good field. We did see a big performance from the Todd Pletcher runner, Democracy. We saw the horse for Safi, for some reason I'm blanking on his name right now, come back and win really impressively next time out. And so I think that this is an effort down on the inside, the number 12 there, Bears watching, that he collaborate. That was it. He came back to win impressively next time out.
Right.
Bears watching is a race that he can build off of, now stretching out a little bit to 7.
Yeah, that was a sloppy track.
Yeah.
Post 12, he had everything against him. He ran exceptionally well. That is the Will Farish homebred. So Shug with Jose Ortiz in the saddle today. This was hard for me not to put the 1 on top here. Grand runner, he's stretching out the 7/8 of a mile. First race since finishing 4th. It was a monster key race.
I knew you were going to like that.
That's produced 4 next out maiden special weight winners from 5 starters for Victor Barboza Jr., Edgar Zayas. I was torn. Bears watching just ran so well, but I would not lead you. I'm glad you have this one on your ticket too. So, key race, I got to be there.
Yes, absolutely. And some good numbers. 3 out of the 4 had buyer speed figures over 70 in the subsequent start. This one already ran second at a mile and at 7 furlongs, so a little extra distance versus the last start will be no problem. I wanted to mention the number 11, Stainless Steel, as this one is a first-time starter for Rodolphe Brisset. Seems to be training well up at Palmettos, has a nice pedigree. This is a $510,000 son of Quality Road. Was a bit intrigued by that one. And then you do also have the 8 Golden Spoke, who's the brother to Big Blue Kitten, who was all turf. But it's interesting. There's actually quite a bit of dirt in the family as well. Big Blue Kitten was by Kitten's Joy as well. M. Shawish, the sire of this horse, obviously very versatile.
Well, the number 2, Rabdan, in here is hoping to bounce back after following his second place finish at this 11th distance. It was a poor showing, but it was behind, Prevalence last time out, who came back and ran an 86 buyer, and it seemed that everybody in the country thought the horse didn't run well. I thought he ran okay in that race. Gustavo Delgado's got Hall of Famer Johnny Velasquez atop this son of Speightster. I'd give this horse another look if you have a chance in there in race number 7. Going to race number 8 this afternoon, 1 mile and 1/2 on the turf. Starter allowance 4 and up, started for $25,000 or less. We got some hard-knocking campaigners in this race when they go 1.5 miles.
Absolutely, and it does kick off the late pick 5, and I'm 4 deep in here going 1.5 miles. I love these races. Everybody knows that. They're a lot of fun, and you've got some familiar foes rematching again in this spot. So I'm 4 deep with the horses that I like at the distance. We've got a great maiden special weight in the 9th. I'm 3 deep in there. In the 10th race, I've got 2 horses, I think Funny Bet and Favorite Sin, both of whom have won at the distance. And in the 11th, that is our Silks Run, the stake today, 5 on the turf. I've got defending champ Karatari and my Taiwan On, who's just been in such good form off the layoff for Jane Sabelli. I've got my long shot in the nightcap, the 6 Beach Traffic. Used him with what I think is the most logical runner in Digital Footprint. Would have used Dancing Dunhill as well, but wanted to keep it on the more affordable side. Still a little bit more than I like to spend, but a $48 play.
Well, as I mentioned, I just went with Yamato when he had made this one my best. I was really impressed by this horse. He was a lightly raced son of Artie Schiller. He proved he could handle a 12-furlong marathon distance when he defeated this same caliber of competition, going a mile and a half, 2 starts back. Murat Gonçalves has pacemaster Luis Saez in the saddle today. You're absolutely right going 4 deep in here. You also used Bourbon in May, but I just thought Yamato would run good in here. Took a little shot with him today.
No, you're absolutely right. And I had loved him 2 starts back in that allowance race because I think that he really is built for this distance. And it showed when he cut back to a mile and a 16th. He still ran well, but it really kind of showed a lot going longer. Though it was on paper the same level, I think this is a much tougher race than what he beat 2 starts back. And that's my only concern with him. But I do think that he is a horse that will relish getting back to this mile and a half distance. 2 horses we know love the marathon distance, though. That's Bourbon and May and Solio. They are going to rematch, and we'll backtrack to their race. It was the same day as that Bears watching replay we just watched. So it's hard to see anything at the quarter pole, but we'll do the best we can. And thanks to Bob upstairs for making this possible. You can see a little bit in the stretch as it gets closer. I thought the one Solio who was setting the pace, and we have Bourbon in May highlighted there. He just came flying late to run down Solio. I thought this was a huge performance for these two. A couple of other horses coming out of that race as well, but big run from the top 2 finishers.
Well, and also, you got to look at the number 7 in here, who you have a little further back on a ticket, Rajinka, the Irish bred, who is a distinction of being the only multiple winner in the field at this distance, 4 starts, 2 wins, can jump up and win after the finishing behind Bourbon de May going 11 panels last time out in that monsoon. So I think another horse that I'm glad you went 4 deep and used this horse. I'm just like Yamato a little bit, but I think you made a wise move. With that said, we'll flip the page, and she always makes wise moves. That's what
I don't know about always, but I try.
9th race this afternoon. Well, we're going to keep it not as long as a mile and a half, but a mile and an eighth on the turf for 3-year-olds. And, I got my long shot in here, and that's Please the Pharaoh. I don't know what this horse is on the morning line. 12-1. Half-brother to Grade 1 winner certified. Took a step in the right direction when trainer John Kimmel stretched him out to this distance. And the $320,000 son of American Pharaoh responded with a 4th-place finish. He was only beaten a length in the race. I went back and looked at this race, and I liked it. Now, this is for my long shot in the field. So go back, take a look. Maybe you'll use that one.
No, and I think you have a good chance today because I think I've liked him in every one of his starts, and I'm off today. So there's your great angle for Please the Pharaoh. I think this is an excellent race that I'm really looking forward to. I took the one, Juan River Valley, who did debut on the dirt and ran well up at Aqueduct. But it's interesting, as looking at the family for this one, on the bottom side, it's all turf. The dam's 2 wins were on the grass. In fact, Christophe Clement trained her as well, so knows the family. The second dam was a graded stakes winner on turf. And it's funny because the half-brother to this horse is a stakes place runner named Looking at Bikinis that Chad Brown had a couple of years ago and was like the buzz horse in the Travers. And I just remember, and I looked back at my notes at him, and I was like, I'd love to see this horse on turf. And so that's kind of the thought process with this one. He's a big leggy son of Blame. I think he's going to love the mile and an eighth.
Yeah, and second choice on the morning line, so we'll see how he runs. Now, what about Fly Like an Eagle?
Well, this one has the, I guess, best first out race, as we'll take a look at it back on January 30th. The winner, King of Dreams, wired the field that day, tried the dirt in the Tampa Bay Derby to no avail the next time out. I think he's a turf horse and needs to go back to that, but that's another story for another time. So nobody challenged Misael Jaramillo on the turf on the front end, and I think we've learned that lesson several times before, but Fly Like an Eagle had been the buzz horse actually going off as the favorite because of how well he'd been working, and I had noted him down as probably one of the only ones I'd want coming out of that race.
Yeah, and I have him in second, Barclay Tag, for all the reasons you just shown and talked about. And Jose Ortiz returning on the son of Constitution. And what about the number 9, Biggie? Beautiful. I wonder if it's named after Biggie Smalls.
I was wondering the same.
Well, they have I think they have a documentary on him coming out right now. Biggie's a beautiful bred son of Uncle Mo, debuting for Shug with Lasix. Consistent morning work tab up there at Payson Park. How do you leave Shug off your tickets? I found it hard at this meet.
I know, and it's funny funny because on the bottom side, the pedigree is largely dirt. Shug trained the dam, and I love when you have maiden special weights like this and you have trainers that are familiar with the family, as we've been talking about. She only won once, but she was $1 million yearling, and she won going long on a wet track on the main track. She is the sister to Grade 1 winner Power Broker. It's from the family of Trap Shot. It's a really, really deep female family on the bottom side. But I watched a recent workout here at Gulfstream for this horse, the last one on March 7th, and I can see why he's running on the turf. He moves like a turf horse, that really high knee action. So check it out on XBTV if you have a chance.
Race number 10 this afternoon, a 1 mile allowance optional claimer. Fillies and mares 4 and up. They can run for the optional claiming tag of $25,000. We did have a couple of scratches of the 7 and 8 horse in here, and you went with the horse I don't have on my ticket. Now, who's that? The number 4 favorite Sin.
Yeah, this one won last time out to Breaker Maiden. I had liked her going the mile on the dirt 2 back as well, but she did run into Black Magic Woman, of course, that well-bred filly for Todd Pletcher, who came back to win again. But she broke her maiden last time and now will step up to face winners for the first time again. But she has speed, won at the distance. She's versatile. I like her in here.
I went with the horse you have in second on top, Funny Bet, who shows a bullet half-mile drill over the track in preparation for the first starts. Since debuting locally, coming with it at nose of scoring at this level in distance. Dale Romans, Johnny Velasquez in the saddle. Looks like Dale's barn is definitely starting to heat up. So put that one on top. No great shakes. You got it right there. And don't get cozy. We'll try to make it 2 in a row after parlaying that 3-wide charge into a popular victory at this level in distance for Mr. Antonio Sano with Junior Alvarado. They had a good meet together, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are kind of, to me, those were the logical 3. Obviously, Funny Bet in very good form right now. I think on paper the one to beat.
Well, feature race time is race number 11, 5 furlongs in the turf, 4-year-olds and up, 75,000 guaranteed. Is, as Acacia mentioned when she gave you a ticket, it is the Silks Run. And boy, I like Karatari too.
Yeah, Karatari won this race last year, in fact, the Silks Run by a neck. And I actually think that this is a softer version of the race versus what he faced last time out. So if he runs like he did last year, then I should be able to defend his title in here. Came off of a layoff last time in the turf sprint stake over at Houston. Was beaten just a neck that day. He's faced some very good horses along the way. He is very quick, but has kind of found a new dimension in rating lately. Loves this Gulfstream Park turf course, too.
Yeah, three starts, 2 wins in the second. Julian Leperoux in the saddle. But we got our old buddy in here, Mai Tai, one on. He's got a good shot.
Yeah, and he's been very good off the layoff as well. We'll backtrack to his last win, where he took a lot of money, beat the number 8 in there, Yes I Am Free, who's also in this field. He's the number 1. And Yes I Am Free was actually the favorite in that spot. But Mai Tai won on. Jane Sabelli's done a great job with this horse. Came off of a 6-month layoff, 1 for 35, got the confidence back up, stepped it up, and I think is now a major player back in stakes company as he's got a lot of back class.
Yeah, I mean, I expect, Karatari, just for all the reasons we mentioned, is the one to be. But Mai Tai went on, as you can see, they're just always run well. And Yes, I Am Free is another, has been just razor sharp since returning from Gulfstream Park West. The Gelding loves this turf course. 5 starts, 3 wins, 2 seconds. 5 furlong specialist, Emicial Jaramillo at the controls. I'm thinking maybe the gas will be pressed early on in that race.
I would not be surprised.
12th race on the afternoon, 1 mile turf, claimer 4 and up, non-winners of 3, 12-5. Let's hear about your long shot play today.
Yeah, we're going to take a shot with the number 6, Beach Traffic for trainer Tim Hills. Ran on the turf 2 starts back at Monmouth for $30,000, and it was actually an okay race closing off of it. So this is a class drop just based off of the turf form. The last time we saw this horse won, I know it was an off-the-turf race, but it was at the $16,000 level. Has run some good races against tougher on the grass, and does pick up Paco Lopez today.
Yeah, I just thought digital footprint, probably the major player in here, dropping to the 12-5 level, which I think is key. Followed that narrow defeat against 23 lifetime claimers 2 back with a 4th place finish against 20 starter allowance runners at Last Out, Mike Maker, Tyler Gaffleone, Juan Pablo on my ticket today. You got a little further down. You got to take a definite look at your long shot in there because this is a race that, digital footprint's the one to beat, but I'm not 100% sold.
Yeah, and then you do have the 4 Danzig Dunhill, who's taking a very big drop in class. Maybe to me was a little bit of a red flag. Was a little bit hesitant to use him further up as he did win against Tougher, both on turf and dirt.
Yeah, George Weaver, Edgar Zayas atop this. We'll call it an intriguing class dropper this
Yes,
afternoon.
absolutely.
That's what's written down there. That's what I'm going to say. So we're going to take a look at our lightning round, which is even popular, very popular in Turkey, I'll have you know.
Yes, it is, and we appreciate everybody watching from all around the world, and every time we get tweets from Turkey, it's very exciting for us. We appreciate you watching in and betting Gulfstream. If you're tuned in now, thank you. As we have mentioned it a couple times today, but Ron, yesterday, the Rainbow Six was very close for being taken down. The horse that was alive for a single ticket was second in the nightcap, only paid 4 out of 5. We do have that big guarantee today.
Yeah, so it's big guarantee of $450,000, and someone just got beat by a nose, and that is pretty. I don't want to be that person.
No, absolutely. We have another chance added today, and even more money up for grabs. As mentioned, Irad Ortiz bobbleheads available. Ron already brought the Irad bobblehead out on the set. Starts at 11 a.m. And for those asking online too, go to the Gulfstream Park website. There on the top banner, you can click the information, and you will have an opportunity to buy it online if you can't make it out to the track.
Yeah, I'll bring Irad a little later on to show you guys how sharp it is. He's got that mask on and everything. So more important, it's for a great cause. And if you collect that stuff, only $25. Come on, that's not that much.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you check that out. Of course, all the info on GulfstreamPark.com. As our sister track, Laurel Park, we are so glad to see them back running again today. Good Samaritan Day on tap today.
Good Samaritan Day with 5 stakes, I believe, or 5 stakes at $100,000. And if there is a Good Samaritan that goes up to Laurel, it's Phil Janik for sure in there. So definitely, in the Johnson Memorial, you got Mischief Afoot, who ran well in here, and also for Jimmy Toner, you had Whispering. That's Jimmy Toner, Mistress Afoot, that ran here last time out. So some good horses in those races.
Absolutely, and if you're in the area, 400 spectators allowed, which is, I'm sure, going to be great to have some fans back at Laurel Park. Speaking of Maryland, the dates announced for the 2021 Preakness Stakes back on the calendar where it belongs, the second week of May. May 15th will be the 2021 Preakness.
Boy, am I sure hoping I can get back there again. That's always a great pace, great people in Maryland.
Go ahead and check out all of the information on Preakness.com. Of course, we'll keep you updated as we get closer with what the protocol will be on spectators. Of course, at first, we would love to have you all back to celebrate the Preakness Stakes. As the winner of the Kentucky Oaks last year is making her return today for Brad Cox. She dares the devil, getting ready for her 2021 debut in the Azeri.
Yeah, I loved this race that afternoon because I bet her, and she was 15-1. Yeah, so I was lucked out, and she was just very impressive in that race. And I thought she ran well. She did fare well in her next start, but she was a really nice one. She is a really nice one, I should say.
The Grade 2 Azeri today at Oaklawn. We also have some horses we're familiar with from here at Gulfstream, on Vontante, and our good old buddy Latruska in there as well. So it should be a fun race.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. You can watch and wager on that stuff on the First Bet app.
Absolutely. Hope you're locked and loaded and ready for a great day of racing here and around the country. We appreciate you tuning in to Gulfstream Park, and we'll send it up to the one and only Pete Aiello for scratches and changes.